What's happening, guys? I'm Kobe Chow here with Craig McCoy, and welcome to our latest Tuesday training, where every week we bring to you a live training from lead gen and AI all the way to business planning and goal setting.
You have the new version and the old version. We collaborate to make it awesome.
If you want to join and jump on the next Tuesday training, join our school platform below. It's completely free. Click the link below, and we'll see you there.
Yeah, Kobe and Craig are occupied this morning and had some other unavoidable meetings. And so I'm going to host. And again, welcome everybody. Bill is going to get us started with the usual market recap. We'll open up for questions, and then we'll talk about some marketing CRM stuff.
All right. Hey, everybody. Tim is not in today either. He's his stepdaughter's car broke down in Florida, so he is chat GPTing how to fix it. But yeah, I thought we'll start with his piece, which is about the market. The Fed met last week and they kept rates steady. They didn't raise, they didn't cut. There was some dissent. So 3 of the Fed chair members wanted to raise the rate. We're in a transition now with this new Fed chair, Kevin Warsh. And, for the past 8 years or however long it's been with Jerome Powell, every time they get up there and they have a meeting, he says what they're planning on doing going forward. And, the markets are used to that. Kevin Warsh is going back to the old Alan Greenspan method where you don't put everything out on the table and you let the markets react and do what they're going to do on their own, independent of the Fed, and then the Fed works off of the market. So there's a transition period in that, and the markets are kind of a little squishy and don't really know what to do. And so it's been kind of a rough go for mortgage bonds the past few weeks. We did get a little relief with the next iteration of the ceasefire. I'm not sure if this is a 25th time or whatever, but it does give us a little bit of help. So we're looking to hopefully lock in some rates today that we have floating. That's actually something, I don't know if you guys understand this, but when somebody brings in their loan, we can lock it right away, or we can float the interest rate. So we register the loan, we get the underwriting process started, and we can watch the market and lock in, when things improve. Hopefully, there's a risk in that, because if things don't improve, then you're backtracking and you're in a situation where the rates are higher. So typically what we'll do is we lock in right away, and then we look to move the loan to a different lender if rates come down. So that's usually how we do it. But in some cases, if you have like a 60-day escrow, a lot of times that doesn't make a lot of sense, because locking over for 60 days, if any lock over 45 days is going to be a lot more expensive than the rate you would get on a 30-day loan. But anyway, as far as rates are concerned, the conventional 30-year fixed rate today with 20% down is 6.75% with no points, about 6.5 with a point. FHA, we're at 6%. That's with 3.5% down and no points. We can get to 5.75. It's going to cost 1.25 points to get down to that rate. I went ahead and ran some jumbo pricing as well. I based it off of a $1.7 million purchase price with 20% down, 6.875 with no points, 6.375 with 1 point. So pays a little bit more to pay. You get a little more bang for your buck on the jumbo if you pay points, at least in today's market. Let's see. And then just as far as the mortgage world and what's going on out there, I mean, underwriting has been a little bit tight. I spoke with an underwriter the other day, and she was telling me that, it sounds like the lenders on the back end are having trouble. They're getting pushback from their investors. So the way that the mortgage works, we are the broker, right? Our job is to work with the client, get their file set up, make sure that we're presenting something to the lender that is very clean and doesn't leaves as few questions as possible about what's going on with this person. So the underwriter then, for the lender, they get the file, and if it's a conventional loan, they're following the Fannie Mae guidance, which is called a automated underwriting approval, or a DU is probably the term you've heard. So they're following along with the DU to make sure that all the documents, everything that we have in the file fits what's on the DU, and then they can pass that loan on in the secondary market to Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac. If it's not a conventional loan, it gets passed on to other investors, usually hedge funds, or there's a whole secondary mortgage market that goes on. So when we're going through underwriting and the underwriter's asking us for all kinds of crazy stuff, that's what they're trying to do, is to make sure that their file makes it through the next level and gets passed on to that investor. The lenders we work with, they are huge banks, Rocket Mortgage, Penny Mac. We have, these are big institutions with a lot of money, but they don't want to be stuck holding on to those loans. For them, what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring in a bunch of loans and then sell them on the market, free up more capital so that they can keep going and keep bringing in more deals. So that's a little bit about how the process works. I see a hand up, Josh. What's up?
Hey, Bill, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hey, so I have a question. You were talking about the kind of the rates that we should see down to 6.75. It sounded like you said 6.75s. That'd be with, I'm assuming that's with good credit, right? I have a question about this.
Yeah, that's conventional, no points, good credit, 20% down.
So we have an offer on one of our listings right now. I was kind of blown away. I heard the guys in finance, but in short, the offer package was very well put together by a Redfin agent, and he's getting a 5.75. And normally when I'm seeing the offer package, I'm not seeing it with point. They're not putting their point buy downs. I would assume it's not normal in my experience. The point buy down is something after the fact. So I was curious, how would someone be getting that much? How would someone be getting that much less on interest, like right out the bat? Are they assuming that there's going to be a buy down there?
Well, there's a couple things. I mean, one, it could be an ARM. Yeah. Two,
it's a conventional. It's a conventional loan. I think it's with F&M.
F&M. Okay. Farmers Merchants Bank, right?
Yes.
Every once in a while, banks will have some kind of an incentive program, but that's pretty steep. I mean, and that came in on the pre-approval letter, or that was what was listed.
That's a free. It's fully pre-approved. Like their lender has reached out to me, told me everything is like they are 100% solid. So I'm like, that kind of had me taken aback. I mean, I don't think it's fishy in any way. I just was kind of like, how are they getting such a low rate? Everything else I'm seeing is 6.75 is kind of the going rate with good credit I'm seeing. So it's crazy.
Yeah. I don't know.
They can do that with conventional. I guess the answer is there's programs with certain credit unions and banks. Is the answer, right?
They're almost certainly paying some points. I mean, that's the bank. That's going to be the bank taking a hit to try and bring in new business. There's one thing that happens sometimes with people is if they, especially working with a bank, if they have a lot of money, on hand, like let's say they've got $500,000 on deposit with that bank, they'll get premium pricing, things like that come up. So it's hard to say for sure without knowing exactly what the situation is, but with a conventional loan, I mean, that's pretty good. It almost certainly has points, possibly an ARM. I don't know. I can't tell you for sure.
I didn't expect you to say for sure. I was just like, is that, I don't see that too often, I guess is what I'm saying, is such a solid buyer, which is what I'm conveying to my sellers, is that it's like, hey, this is a pretty sure thing. Did you ask if the rate were to go up, if they would still be qualified? No, not yet. No.
That might be a good question, because I mean, maybe, they're throwing that out there and that's the rate that they need. And if they can't get it, then they come back and they say, oh, we can't get this 5.75. So,
Yeah, I think it actually says if it's locked or not. I think there's a little line item. So
yeah, it should. Yeah,
I'll just call the lender this morning. Anyways,
right, well, yep. I hope that the banks are not all offering that. So it's not good for us. But no, I haven't seen too much of that.
Josh, I do have a client who has a ton of money, and he said if he transfers his money over to some bank, they will give him a lower rate.
Yeah. Yeah, I've had another one or two buyers in the last month or so that have made a comment about, oh, we get a great rate with our credit union. And I haven't seen them, but this is the first time I've seen a solid rate. So that may be a sign that is what's happening, Bill.
Yeah, it's possible. They call it private banking relationship typically if you have a lot of money on hand. I've certainly seen that before and have had trouble beating those on occasion. Um, let's see. All right, yeah. So that's what's going on with the rates. One thing that I thought I would talk about are condos. I don't know if a lot of you guys deal with condos or not, but we were looking at the numbers. I'm a part of the downtown LA real estate association, and man, like the condo prices are way down right now. There's a lot of stuff, at least in downtown LA, that's selling for less than what somebody bought it for 4 or 5 years ago. I mean, we have one agent that I work with. He has a listing. I think they're selling it for $1.5 million. They bought it for they bought it for $1.75 million and put in 500, or I think they bought it for $2 million and put in $250,000 into it. So like, I think that there really are some real deals in that market if you have people who are looking for, for deals, right? If you're running into people who are, and this is kind of all across Southern California, we're seeing it everywhere. So condos are a pain, they're a pain for us in terms of the HOA requirements and all of this, but you can get a really nice place, and people will fight about HOA dues. But what I try to convey to people is that if you own a house, you are going to have constant expenses, whether it's your landscaper, your water bill, which you normally don't pay for with a condominium, any kind of like plumbing issues, or, things are constantly coming up. And so, I mean, I can comfortably say as a homeowner that I spend at least, $6,000 a year on my home, which would be $500 a month. And I'm sure it's more than that. So just a little food for thought. If you do have people who are maybe on the fence about a condo, maybe they don't qualify for something a little bit higher. Maybe they're looking just for something for like a deal. There are people who are very deal driven. That might be something worth showing to people. And if they're investors, there's a benefit in that, and that you're not going to be. It's a bit more stable. You're not going to be unlikely going to be hit with some unexpected roof replacement or huge things. I've got one investor I work with. He's got about 15 different condos, and he does that explicitly because he doesn't want to deal with huge repair costs. And he's done really well with it. So just a little food for thought. Anybody have any questions about the market or loan programs or anything right now?
See, Ryan has his hand up.
Yeah, hey,
Ryan, do you have a question?
hey, Bill, how's your day going? I hope it's wonderful. I live right there, you know what I mean? So I was wondering if you knew some units that I could maybe go and prospect about that, because I did a whole bunch of condos in New York City. I haven't done so much in Los Angeles, but I wanted to see if there was something I can go, or a place that you think would be advantageous, or that they need tenants,
Yeah. I mean, the hard thing is selling them. There's a lot of listings out there, but if you can find a buyer, it's finding the buyers for them. And if you can find a buyer, they're going to have a lot to choose from, and they're going to be able to negotiate. If you want, we do have this weekend. We host it's a downtown walking tour, and we go into like 3 different buildings. We're going to see probably 6 to 8 units, I think. And there's generally there's a lot of agents there, but sometimes there's some buyers there as well. And it can just give you a little step into the community. I'll post the link for that.
Yeah, I would love that. I mean, that would be like wonderful.
Cool. Yeah, Adam and I will be there. It's Saturday at 10:30.
Okay.
10. Yeah, 10.
Copy that.
Well, we meet at 10, and then the tour starts at 10:30. I think because of the heat this weekend, Ryan, it's going to be a bit smaller than it typically is. But like Bill was saying, each month it's anywhere from 8 to 12 units in 3 or 4 different buildings each tour.
that just sounds lovely. I would just love to meet you guys and do that walk and just kind of observe and see what I can learn, you know.
Yeah, come on through. I mean, if you're also in the downtown area right now, I know that some of the agents from uh, the downtown pitch that we go to are trying to do some open houses for this Thursday's art with like street art event. Sorry.
Okay.
Um,
It's like the downtown art walk.
Okay. Sure.
there
Sure.
we
So
go.
yeah, so we're like holding things open. I mean, you know, we try to like do all kinds of things that we can with agents to generate,
Get out there
you
and
know,
meet
yeah,
people.
build
Yeah.
relationships and generate stuff. So
I mean,
they do an
yeah,
art walk, and we're gonna hold one of the units open in a building and try to get some people off the street who are thinking about buying art. Maybe they'll buy a condo instead.
yeah. I mean, this is my focus, and I'm trying to do whatever I can to do to make things move. So Thursday, Saturday, that sounds amazing to me. So I don't know how I can get information about that or where I should be at what time.
Ryan, I'll send you a private message with my contact information and make sure you get that information. All right.
Sounds amazing. Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bill, I think we lost your mic.
You got me?
There we go.
You are.
Sorry about that. Yeah. So, and then I guess one last thing, you know, we are working up flyers for the doctor loan program. I think we've got something that's ready to be co-branded. So if anybody wants to start going after doctors, dentists, veterinarians, optometrists, the flyers look pretty good. And you know, working with Chris Fennell out in Bakersfield, he's had a ton of questions, and I think we're kind of dialing in on something really good. So let us know if you want any more information on that too. All right.
Do we have any other questions for Bill? Let's see. Let's pick on some people. Chris, Mr. Fennell, why don't you share if you've had a lot of questions about these programs? Why don't you share what a few of them are and maybe help stir up the minds of some of our other agents who may be having questions too.
Well, what would you like to know? How can I help?
Well,
is Bill still here? I mean, because it was
yeah, I'm still here.
Program, so I don't want to step on Bill's toes.
No,
well, I think I was going to say, I think what's cool about what you're trying to do, Chris, is the way that you're attacking it and going after recruiters and stuff. So maybe talk on that in the hospital systems and all that.
Well, I think the recruiters that I'm going after are going to be the exact same recruiters everybody else, because they seem to be centralized in corporate offices. So it would just be more agents hitting up the same people. But once you have it in effect, you'll be able to, those recruiters will be bringing you leads from everywhere in the state of California. I mean, unless somebody wants to be hitting up recruiters in other states. Because the recruiters are recruiting for all of the major medical companies.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that's a good idea. You know, a little bit outside the box. Like, where can you find people who are going to be able to buy, right? And a recruiter, especially for a hospital system, these are people who are they're talking to who have jobs or who are about to have jobs and good jobs, and you know, if they're going to be sticking around, might want to buy a house. So
yeah, but don't they have to use a relocation company often, and then you have to pay 35% to a relocation company? Question mark. I don't know.
You know, I don't know. One of my lead sources is she's an agent, and she, you know, has a friend who works in HR at Cedars Sinai, and and so she gets a lot of leads that way. I don't believe that there's a third party company that they deal with. So it just probably just depends on the situation.
Are you now, Bill, since you bring that up, are you having to visit any of their it's not job fairs is the word I'm looking for, but when they have new candidates come in, are you visiting Cedars-Sinai's at any of their events? Are you in their area?
I am in their area, but no, I mean, I haven't really been invited to any of their stuff. I probably should try to get over there though, because it would be nice to, I do have a few people in that orbit now from the doctors we've worked with, and have another friend who works there, and and our agent, but she's kind of the primary, the initial point of contact.
At Cedars-Sinai?
Yeah, well, the agent that I work with, I mean, she's generally sending people my way as they come through, rather than me.
Okay,
because it would make perfect sense for me to be over there and try.
Yeah, if I were you, I would ask her about that. But essentially, the other way of going about this is going to the administrators directly, but they're going to want you to be there at their events and their luncheons and whatever those events are called. I forget the name of them now, and that's what I was trying to avoid by doing it the other way around, because I wasn't trying to obligate you to go to personal visits.
But, I mean, if there's a good event, we can make our way up to Bakersfield for something. It's a track. But if it's if we think it's going to be a good event and we can bring in business, that's the idea. So.
Okay, well then you may want to offer that to more people in your general area, as opposed to if they want to go hit up the administrators in Southern California and make it a little easier for you. And they can be the local agent down there. You can be the local lender.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. That's that's what we're here for. Any connection that's made, we want to be support, and we want to, that's the idea. Whatever we can do to try and help and share the business. That's what we're looking to do.
Hey, I have a quick question on the condo tour. Sorry, I can't do video today. I have not a client, but a friend who lives downtown. They do have an agent already. They've been looking at houses, but based on this, I was just gonna. Do you think it's okay if I tell them about the walking tour? I know someone said there were some buyers there. It's not just agents.
Yeah, absolutely. They, buyers are they.
The best.
We want buyers more than agents. Yeah, so that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I know they want a house, but honestly, it'd be smart for them because they love downtown and don't want to leave it. But I think for their first time, that would probably be a good idea. So I'll send them the link now.
Okay. Yeah, that's huge. People who are used to downtown are the best people to buy downtown.
Exactly. And I told them then they can just turn around and sell it when the market down there picks up, or rent it out and then buy their house.
Yeah, and I mean at least what everybody is thinking is that we've got the Olympics coming and we should see a nice boost. And even with World Cup, it was like popping down there and cleaned up, and so and really a lot of people are actually renting their places to the Olympic staff and stuff like that. So they're getting month-long rentals, 2-month-long rentals,
and I think downtowns tend to be, this is kind of extraordinary because of the COVID fallout, but they tend to be cyclical anyway. So
sure.
I tend to think hopefully it's at bottom and then we'll just pick back up for anyone buying at this point.
That's what we're hoping too. And it kind of feels that way. So, and it does, but it also feels like it's kind of coming around. Like it is definitely cleaning up a bit, and more new restaurants are opening, new. Everyone is coming in. They're doing what they can to try.
I couldn't hear that last part. What did you say is coming in?
Oh, I said they've got an Erewhon and a Trader Joe's.
Oh, okay. That's a game changer.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff just makes it more livable and more, bougie, I guess.
I got a quick question. Would you say, just lender perspective, that inventory is up or down?
Uh, I would say up. I haven't looked at the numbers super recently, but I think it's higher than it's been for sure.
That's what I thought. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because a client of mine mentioned a lender friend told him the problem for lenders, he's a lender, is that inventory is down. And I'm like,
Well, I mean, it kind of it depends. It's really market dependent, right? Like I live in Silver Lake, and it's over here. Something goes on the market, it gets 20 offer, 15 offers, whatever. It's gone really quick if it's not super overpriced. A lot of other areas not quite like that, like especially the condo market all over town. I mean, back in the day, the condo in West Hollywood would go fast if it was priced well, and those things are sitting on the market forever. So it just kind of depends on the market you're looking at. That's why I wanted to highlight condos because it's where the prices are down and where there's opportunity and the inventory is up. But yeah, I mean, I feel like the single family market in a nice kind of single family neighborhood, those are probably inventory might still be a little tight.
got it.
Hey, you guys. I know that this seems really like secular to LA, not just like these numbers. You can actually get statewide numbers and county-wide numbers and like countrywide numbers if you want to really know what's happening. And then in like days on market. But if we don't have it, I don't know if we can. I would love to, Hill. I think we're going to do some marketing information, and we have a half an hour left maybe. So I don't know if we can wrap up the lending aspect of it, but I would love to hear what our marketing specialist has to say today too.
Well, real quick, I just wanted to say in our area at the market, people look at it and because there's more houses on the market than there were a year ago, they're like, oh no, there's so many houses. But given prior to 2020, we're still low. So it's just a matter of perspective.
Mm-mm. Yeah.
I'm interested as maybe a segue towards thinking about marketing. I've heard a few people mentioning, we were talking about the MD loans and going to conventions. How do we get in touch with these people? Um, Bill saying, we'd love to see buyers coming out. And like these are demographics of people, right, that we want to be in touch with. These are potential clients, they're potential partners. And it is, I think, easy to everybody has their niche and their specialty. And I'm curious, what are some demographics of people that you have wondered about how to get in touch with, and you just maybe like haven't found them, or the opposite of that, like a demographic of people that you found it very easy to get in touch with, and that is like kind of your bread and butter. And so like if there's anybody who has I think first the pain point of like a group of people you have thought would be good to do business with and just don't know where to find these contacts. Maybe your contact list is dry, everyone's, no one's looking right now. Who are those groups?
I think renters would be a great, for at least for me in my area. I know a lot of families move to Carmel Valley and then they start looking for a house. So that would be great. I don't think it's going to be an easy task, but I do like that group.
Yeah, Miss Wood, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I made like my bread and butter in New York City on rentals, and then you sold houses, and then you made more money, right? XYZ, and then you have all these relationships. But rentals is something in LA that flummoxed me. I don't really know how to get myself into that market.
Yeah, and that's a valid point. And Christine, I know you and I had a conversation about this last Friday because a lot of the places where we can source, there are a lot of data sources out there that are open or that are, maybe paid that we have access to, that you have access to through us. This is the idea of circle prospecting and going out and finding people's information so you can get in touch with them cold, right? Renters are a demographic that it's hard to find because we don't have their contact information from tax and title. And so we don't know, we can't go source their email address. We can't go find their phone number so you can reach out to them. And this is a group of people that is very valuable. And so, when Christine and I were having this conversation, it brought us back to door knocking and putting mailers out there and kind of these old school techniques because we can find out where they live. We just can't find out easily what their contact information is. And so it's a place, real estate is an interesting place where uh as like tech forward as I like to be and as much as I like to sit on a computer, we run into often these moments where it's like, okay, the answers aren't on a computer. Um, and so I think that's something valuable to like to know where the walls are and where, the tech goes from automation into like old school relationship building and old school salesmanship. So renters is a great call out. Does anyone else have a group of people that it's been difficult to connect with or that you have wanted to connect with and not known where to start? What about Jamie?
Hello.
Hey, Jamie. Good morning.
I just got my lead service back. So I
And
get names and phone numbers through that here in South Florida. So I have everything from Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, Martin County, Port St. Lucie. So that gives me their names, their phone numbers, expireds, canceleds, for sale by owner, pre-foreclosure, and neighborhood searches I can do as well and pull up a neighborhood with all their names and phone numbers.
excellent. And I love to hear that. I know that there are a couple other people in here who are using lead source generators that feed them leads, Josh being one of them. He's got a steady stream coming in. And so what happens when first of all, what service are you using?
Landvoice.
Land
I've
Voice.
used it a long time. And it's good. It's, I mean, some of the numbers aren't good, but usually there's 1 out of 4 that are on a record. But it takes, work. It's if you've got to get used to being on the phone and making the cold calls, or if not, you know the neighborhood where they come up, just go knock on the door that way, and then you have their name. But I do both. I just got it back because I have a woman that joined me finally, and I have a little bit of help because I've been also doing insurance, so I'm hoping to get back into the phone calls this week, and I'll let you know how it goes.
Great.
Just kind of started yesterday, so
I'm excited to hear how it
yeah, I've
goes.
had a lot of success. I've built my entire business using cold calls and calling people I don't know. Sometimes I feel like it's easier to do business with people that you don't know. And if you have that mentality and just, you come across as confident on the phone and, study this book right here.
Hey, Jamie,
You'll do
what was it called again?
Exactly what to say.
No, what was your lead source called?
Landvoice.
LAND?
Mm-hmm. I pay annually. It's cheaper that way. It's an investment, but you're going to use it. And I've gotten, one listing I had last year, I got both sides. So, pays for it if you even get one. And then as far as the rentals go, it's a little different here in Florida. We can list rentals on MLS. I think I was told by Andrew that they don't really list rentals out there in California. So unless they're like really high end. So I would say as far as that goes, I've had luck in the past with, just doing it the old school way, like go around to some apartment communities. I've, in the past when I first started, I think was listing certain communities, like or things that rentals I had permission to list on Craigslist or Facebook and draw them in that way. But usually just takes a couple rental listings to get a bunch of leads coming in. So.
And that's great. And I love to hear that. I think that the conversation about marketing, in my opinion, always starts with there are 1,000 ways to go about approaching the beginning of marketing, right? And the idea is that we are trying to build a relationship. We're trying to get in touch with people. And I've personally found it overwhelming being someone involved in marketing. Just like, where do you start? What do you do? One of the things that I loved about the way you jumped in here is that you just had a plan. You made a decision and you're doing that thing.
Yeah, I had a girl I was working with, I mean, it gets frustrating out there. I had a buyer I was working with, and she went and, for months, actually a year, I've been working with her and her mom, and they went up to new construction and signed and put money down. And I'm like, yeah. So that kind of stuff happens. And then you just, that's where I was like, forget it. I'm going back to my lead service. I'm going to make the cold calls again. And just, I'd prefer to just, you're going to stumble. Like, people are going to hang up on you. They're going to curse you out. They're going to, my rule is like, just let them hang up, or if they're saying, I don't have time right now, at least you have the right number, save it and call them back in like a couple weeks when the phone slows down and they're not getting as many calls, and they'll be a completely different person. So you can't, you just have to kind of have fun with it and not be discouraged or not be afraid to pick up the phone, because each one of you have certain knowledge, especially if you're calling places that are in your neighborhood or in the area you grew up, or, a new area that you just really love, or, whatever it is. So yeah, I enjoy it. I've always enjoyed cold calling.
So the question I have is, so does anyone else have a lead source that they're using right now that they're finding success with, or that they're having trouble with? Is anyone in the group running an ad right now?
I would say what my bread and butter has always been networking stuff. Any kind of thing where you can find to get yourself in front of people directly and have a face-to-face conversation. I just feel like it's so much more memorable than phone call. I mean, a phone call can be good too. You're still talking, but like the online stuff is great. The marketing, all of that, but that should be driving you to a direct person-to-person contact where you're speaking to one another. That's
100%, yes. And so, and I couldn't possibly agree more. And I don't know that I necessarily believe that anyone goes to a real estate website and says, yes, this person, I'm going to buy a house with them today, calls them up and says, saw your website, I'd like to buy a house. I don't think that's the way it works. I don't think people get a cold email about an open house and they say, absolutely, yes, this is my real estate agent now. But what both of those things do is they create awareness, and they create even if it's just a glimmer of familiarity, they create that. And it is all leading towards building relationships. And that's just a way, it's an entry point. It is one entry point. It is often, I know Josh has a technique where his automations, the automatic things that go out, are simple and quick, and they're the talking point for when he goes and makes that phone call. Right, Josh? I'd love to hear what you think about that, because it's real simple. Josh sends an automated text to everyone that comes into his contact list, and it's, hey, it's Josh Coburn, Chamberlain Real Estate. Sends him a ringless voicemail and an email and a text all in a couple minutes, and then tries to make a phone call and references that, hey, I just sent you a text. Oh, is he having trouble unmuting? Let's see. There he is.
Got it. Are you screen sharing right now, or is that me? No, that's you. Never mind.
That's me.
Cool. So the question was, what was the question specifically? Happy to talk about leads.
Yeah. So I think the question is like, what does that backbone of like automatic outreach give you when you get on the phone with someone, right?
Yeah. So, I would love to assume that everyone wants to talk. Unfortunately, I'm talking about leads. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they just want to satisfy that itch of curiosity. So I am paying money for inbound leads and outbound generated leads that are coming through. The problem is that there's no telling, that person's real motivation to have a sincere, real conversation right out the gate. So I don't waste time calling them. I have the automation set up where they look like, it doesn't at all look like a robot. Doesn't at all look like hey, you inquired, would you like a this? Like, it's just like, looks like I'm reaching out to them. 50% of them don't ever respond. The other 50%, I'd say half of them say, forget it, I'm not really interested. I just wanted a price on my home. And I will call them or try to call them or have my guy Tyson call them and see if they want to have a sincere conversation. We can sincerely provide them a market, a market comparable report if they want it. And sometimes that lands on listening ears and they appreciate that we're not trying to get them to sign anything. They appreciate that and you start to build rapport. I'd say that's maybe 1 in 10, 1 in 15 of my leads. There's a sincere rapport that I can build with that quick touch. But that's like a whole type of lead. Everyone wants to think that they could just throw money at it. And you can if you're using, a fair medium. But usually it just becomes a waste. If you're not quick to give them, scratch their itch and have a sincere ask for like, hey, how can I really help you? What's your real goal right now? If you can't establish that really quickly, it's almost always a waste of money. So it's I guess is what I'm saying is it's not an easy ordeal, but you want to scratch the itch, establish that you're a real person as fast as possible. So have an automation go out. And then I don't rely on future automations. I try and identify what bucket they need to go in as soon as possible and then get them into the bucket. And I take it into my own manual follow-up sheets. So that's my style after years of trying stuff.
And what I love about Josh's style and in marketing right now in general, like, okay, we're halfway through 2026. Has anyone in this room not written something with AI, written an email with AI? Is there a single person here who has not written an email with AI so far this year? We don't have to actually answer. But is there anyone who has not received some kind of marketing outreach that was very obviously generated with AI? I think it's probably fair to say that we've all done it and seen it. Like it just is what we're living in right now. And it's this middle question here of like, what do I ignore? Personally, that's what I'm ignoring right now. It has happened so quickly that I just brush that stuff off. And that's not to say, and in the same sense, it is very easy to like rely on those tools. What Josh is doing is personal and quick. And it doesn't, like he said at the very beginning, it doesn't feel like an automation, but it is. And I think that that's really important because whatever it is that helps you systematize that first phone call and getting that relationship going. And so it's like, what makes you stop scrolling? TJ, what makes you stop scrolling when you see something?
If it's realtor based, it's normally like a younger realtor that's in front of the camera and taking more of an old school approach to it, where it's face-to-face stuff, and I'm not just hit with a bunch of numbers about the area that they're selling in or things like that.
They're in front of the camera and they're talking about what they're doing, right? And that's a scary thing. It takes courage to get in front of the camera and say stuff and put that on social media. It is a great strategy. It's what makes me stop scrolling as well.
I think a good one-liner too helps. Like if that's an interesting first sentence, you have to grab their attention. It is what it is.
Yeah, and so to the group, like what grabs your attention if you're reading something? What grabs your attention? What does an email that sounds interesting to you sound like? And it's a rhetorical question, but it is probably not. I have a new listing this weekend at an open house at 11 a.m. for a 1,600 square foot home priced at 8.5, $850,000. Like that's not super interesting. I think getting through that businessy stuff and to the like emotional connection of what might stop someone's attention. I think whenever you're thinking about marketing, it's easy for me to slide into the safe, technical, businessy stuff. And it is almost never what people connect with. It's almost always they connect with feeling like you are just talking to them. And so I encourage everyone to like lean into that. And the first slide that I had up was what happens next. And so like I'm interested in a system like Jamie's. I think getting a lead source is an incredible thing to do. Like making a marketing decision and putting some money behind it is a good idea. Whatever your budget is, there is a pathway to be spending some marketing budget a month, a year to try to get leads. But then what happens, right? And so like I know that probably all of you have heard about Kobe running through very, very, very quickly through what his automations are, and he's clicking buttons and he's showing you that you can send out automated emails and upload circle prospecting lists and have all of this stuff happen. And I know that a lot of you have done those things, right? So like who is doing them consistently and who knows exactly when they get a listing, what pieces are going to be automated and what's on them. And it's like not something they have to design in that moment, but it's something that sits forever and then they just turn it on when it's needed. I'm gonna pick on TJ one more time because I know TJ's getting involved in this stuff and I know that he's done some of it. So TJ, you have automated outreach for a new listing that you had.
Yeah. When I first kind of got the listing, it was a lot of like door knocking and things like that, and it was just nobody wanted. They just said send me something. So then we went into the automation where it was, you know, give me the phone numbers, give me the emails of every realtor that sold something, in a 3 mile radius from the house in the last 1 to 2 years. And then, like you said, we just hit that button. It sent out like 150 emails, 150 texts, and the responses I got were great. They were encouraging. It wasn't a whole lot of like I have buyers. It was mostly like I have clients that are interested. I'll let you know when we're going, or send me dates to your next open house and things like that. So I think on top of the automation and outreach, I think getting the open house dates and things like that automated, so I'm not posting it to my Instagram story every day right before the open house and last minute things like that. That would be a big thing.
Sure. And I know that in your open houses, you have had a sandwich board sign sitting there with a QR code to a form that people that you don't have a chance to talk to can just scan. Hey, you want to check in right here? And so that's a way to capture somebody from this irreplaceable value of talking to them face to face to getting them inside of a digital system where it's not up to you to remember, hey, what was that person's name? Did I get their phone number? But anyone who has come in has given you their contact information and you are able to then send them something afterwards. Hey, thank you for coming by today. It was great to meet you.
A quick question, TJ, how many days in advance of your open house do you send them out?
So when I was doing the open houses, it was just via Instagram. So whether if it was a Saturday, then it was like a upcoming one on Friday, and then the morning of would be open house today with the times. But other than that, there wasn't, I didn't automate anything to go out consistently. It was mostly just me doing it manually.
What would you, Dylan, what would you think would be like a good time frame?
Yeah, I think that the time frame for this stuff, if we're talking about how to get involved with Link and do it properly, is to know the week before that next weekend I'm going to be having an open house and reach out that week, and say, hey, we're gonna do this. Really, what should happen is as soon as a listing comes on, you should get with me, or any my VA or Andrea or Tyler, any of us, and say, hey, what's the plan for? I have a listing. I don't have the plan yet. And we will tell you what the time frame is. We will do circle prospecting for it. We will encourage you to have a single listing landing page, some automated follow-up, a form to have. But I know that this is stuff that feels overwhelming when you have a listing and you have 1,000 other things to do. So what I really encourage is to open up Go High Level today, or open up whatever CRM you're using, and say, do I have a form to bring to an open house? Do I have a follow-up email set up? Is my dedicated domain set up? And my HTTP certified? If you have those 4 things, you have done the setup that is required to then turn on like a full listing outreach. The other thing that I see people not coming prepared with is their own personal follow-up. Like, like Josh brings, which is this casual but consistent, not automated sounding email template or text template. And so if you have those things in your CRM, it makes the building a system. That's our job, and we'll do that for you. But those things, and raising your hand to say, hey, like, oh, I've audited my CRM and I don't actually have these things, or I have two of them, but I don't have the other two. And like, I know that I can get it together when I want to, but it's not like I just raise my hand and say, here's the listing address, start my outreach campaign. And so those are the kinds of things that we like absolutely encourage, because it shouldn't be something that you have to think about every time you get a listing. So I think it's like, I think that brings to the question of like, when do these relationships break, right? So if you've met someone at an open house, or you got someone through a lead source and you didn't get in touch with them once, or you didn't talk to them the next week, like what happens then? How many people in this call sent out a text or an email or used a saved audience for someone they met more than 3 months ago, or a lead that came in more than 3 months ago? Is there anybody who's done that in the last year, even?
Through the automation and having the QR code and everything preset at the open house, that's where I found my buyer. And 2 months later, he said, hold on to the house. Let me know in 2 months if it's still available. And since he signed up and had that, I was able to reach out 2 months later, and he ended up being a buyer.
Okay. Slow down and say that again. That was cool, man. So let's hear that one more time.
So
you set up a form. You made a QR code to a simple form asking people for their contact information that was sitting in a frame on your table when you had an open house. Someone came in and scanned the QR code, autofilled their information, clicked submit. Did you talk to them that day?
Yeah, so I had two people that it was hard to get people to scan it. We're good, and then just walk out the front door. But it was the two people that were extremely interested, asked a lot of questions on the tour, and was just like, how can we keep in touch? And it was like, scan this and keep in touch regularly. And once they scanned it, then it went into, I believe it's GHL where it went into. And I got email, phone number. Then through conversations, it was where they were currently living, where else they were looking at around the spot, around my listing. And yeah.
And so what's important when I hear that, what's important to me is that like fundamentally what you did was you had good conversations with someone. But what supported that was a piece of tech that was sitting there that just should be there. And it makes it simple. It makes it easy for them to share their contact information with you and to stay in touch. But it also makes it easy for you to go back and be like, okay, who are these people? And so I love that story. Thanks for sharing it.
Wait. I want to add on that or
Yes.
ask some questions. I'm sorry. What was the gentleman's name again?
TJ.
Okay, TJ. So once you have their information, are they getting a digital flyer in response?
I've made, just when we did price reductions, I had sent out, just from having their information, I sent out like additional flyers with the price reductions on there. But in terms of week to week or month to month automations and updates about the house, I didn't do any of that.
Okay. I've been using a similar idea, and I mentioned it like a month ago, but I didn't elaborate very well. So what I do is I have my laptop out at an open house, and then I have the open house registration form on the laptop, and I tell them when they come in order for them to get the flyer, they have to register, and they get a digital flyer. The digital flyer is a landing page that AI updates for me every time I have an open house. So, and it's all done for free. You just have to take the time to have AI put together a landing page, and even you can add it to your website as a header, featured open house. And so when they get that back, when because it's instantaneous, did you get the text message? And then it gives them the URL. They click on the URL. And you go, okay, there's your flyer. At the bottom is also a button for getting pre-qualified. You are at my website. As long as you're there at my website, you can find out about me. You can search for properties. I also have an IDX for looking for open houses, blah, 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 and just try to create value and show like you're a realtor who knows what they're doing, who's dialed in, who's set up, creating value.
Chris, what I heard there, that, and I know that you've done this, and it's with our last minute here, I think I want to leave the idea in everyone's mind of like, I'm not auditing your digital systems. I will 100% build them with you. And so, Chris, I know that you have spent a lot of time, office hours, one-on-one calls with me, making sure that you understood what a full digital marketing system to take you from a person you don't know to a client could look like for you. And there are 1,000 options, like you mentioned, AI generated websites, automatically pulling data and IDX stuff, or TJ's version of it, which is just a form and then following back up with them or posting on Instagram. And there are like 1,000 different pieces of what marketing is. But the idea that I want you to leave you with is that, like, if you don't have a plan on how someone stays in the web, stays in the system, think about that and get a call with me. Even if you don't have an idea of what that should look like, I can walk you through what I've seen other people have success with, and we can build it together. So let's take the last few minutes. If there was any questions, if we were like mentioning terms that people don't know, what they are, if there's a specific question about like kind of a marketing technique or technology that you'd like, what do we have?
I wanted to go back to the sign-in sheet because people are very reluctant to either scan a code or sign in, whether it be paper or digital, right? So I went to an open house not far from my previous listing, and there was the listing agent there had someone standing at the door with like a clipboard and the QR code, and basically you couldn't get past him unless you scanned the code. So I almost feel like you need two people if you really want to get contact information or have them scan or sign in the book. So that's what I learned, at least.
So Tyson's been doing some of my open houses. For one, he actually has a lead he's running with. So Tyson's a newer agent. He's fantastic at getting names. Tyson, can you unmute yourself and share? I'm like, hey, I'll pay $20 if you can fill out this sheet. And he usually is able to do it. Not every time, but he's really good at it. Tyson, what do you usually say? I'm looking over here because he's over there in the office. He's trying to unmute his mic. I want him to share because there's a way to set this up to where people it's not a sale and they're not defensive. There's a way to just position it where they want to give you their info.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the trick I learned is super simple. I just kind of first greet people, kind of like standard open house, welcome, look around. If you guys have any questions, let me know. And right before they're about to start looking around, I just kind of do a quick like, oh, and I totally forgot. I don't want to get in trouble. If you guys don't mind real quick, just sign in on the sign-in sheet. And it kind of catches them. It kind of breaks up the flow of the conversation, and they're just like, okay, yeah, sounds good. And they'll just sign it real quick. It's kind of like an abrupt, like, yeah, keep going. And then you're just gonna be like, oh, I totally forgot. I just want the homeowners to know who's been in the house. If you don't mind signing in real quick. And that's just super simple like that.
I was going to say, I don't have issues with that either. And I kind of do something similar. I feel like maybe if you have a QR code, it's easier for us to capture their information. But as a buyer, it feels like it's more out of my way than just quickly signing a piece of paper that's in front of me. So I like to have, the physical paper that they sign in. And I just quickly say, oh, if you can please sign in, because, in the event that you submit an offer, we need to know you toured the property. And I usually don't have an issue. Now, if they want to put their fake number, that's a different story. But
Well, technically, I don't know about the other states, but technically in California, we are supposed to use the MLS sign-in form. Nobody's really doing it. I haven't seen any other open houses where agents are doing it. But I was able to use, because everybody knew about the lawsuit out there, I was able to say, yeah, because of the lawsuit, we now have to complete this form. If you wouldn't mind to sign in. So
I love that, and I would say to go with Tyson's technique if you want to put the onus onto the regulatory statutes of the state, or if you want to say, oh, my marketing specialist Dylan just really needs to make sure that I get everyone's information. I love the idea of breaking up the conversation by, I don't want to get in trouble piece. It's inviting someone to help you. Hey, I need your help. Can you help me out? So it's a really good technique. And I will say that I agree with a couple of the points that I've heard here of like, okay, I'm not going to do that digitally. I want to do that on paper or in person. And I will then, but only if I can push back and say that's valuable if you will then sit down and put it into a system in the computer, because we will get lost in information, and there is a point that a sheet of paper on the desk is not as useful as an automatic reminder that we've designed to pop up in 3 months in your computer. And so helping to build those digital systems for yourself will benefit you, I believe. Okay, so it's after 11. We can keep the conversation going. I'm going to hang out. Do we have any like final questions, remarks? I'm calling someone who hasn't talked. Maybe. Let's see who's still here with us.
Hey, Dylan.
Hey, Hillary.
Hi. I just want to say this is my first meeting with you all, and it's been a really interactive and good discussion that I'm hearing. And I'd add to the open house technique, one of the things we did during the COVID era, I'm calling it, is we had the QR code on a sign at the front of the door. So the door wasn't even open. Now, what I didn't like about it wasn't open door or welcoming people in first, but it was, our owner requires you to sign in. And so the sign basically said that the homeowner would like you to do this before you come into their house. Very basic, and people signed it. And I don't know if that's because we were during COVID. I haven't done the closed door effect of that since then. What I have done is had the QR code that people register when they walk into the house, or they have the paper option. So they choose one or the other. However, we still get bad numbers and bad email addresses.
Of course, that is going to be part of it. And so like one of the things that we haven't discussed here, but that like I will happily discuss with you one-on-one, is there's kind of three main buckets that I think about a marketing digital system working. And one of them is the marketing pieces, is the outbound communication. One of them is the back end systems. So like making sure that your email is connected to your CRM, and that you have an operating phone number in the CRM, and all of those like mechanical pieces are in place. And then also, how do you organize your client list internally and set some things so that if an email goes out and it's a bad email address, it just removes that person from your contact list, or asks you to go check it, right? And so these pieces, or conversely, if someone has replied to 2 emails or opened 3 emails, it puts a little star next to them and says this is an engaged person. Even if they didn't reply, it gives you a little window into who they are. And so that's this idea of internally organizing the way your contacts appear to you. So it's outbound it's marketing stuff, right? It's the mechanics of having the thing set up in the first place, but then it's how it helps you just kind of internally organize your clients. And all of those points we have templates for and can work with you one-on-one to like build something that would fit your needs. So we're here for you. And I also appreciate the conversation today. I'm not often on these Tuesday calls, but I do like how engaged everybody is. It's fun. So thanks for making this easy for me, guys, and thanks for not getting me in trouble today.
No, you did great, Dylan.
Great. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody.